Hey there everyone, Hitesh here, back again with another video, and this is exactly the reason why I absolutely truly love YouTube. You build a project, you are happy about it, you are friendly and hands-on with that project. Now you want that the world should also be friendly with that. They can also do the exactly things that you have done, and you would love to share your knowledge, and this is exactly what we are going to do in this video. So this is your one-on-one video of getting started with ChatGPT. In the future also, I'll be creating a lot more projects that includes some of the ChatGPT features and some more fun stuff as well. So this is the getting started point of that thing. This is absolutely simple, but we're going to build something really crazy. So notice here, yes, it says get any LeetCode solution in JavaScript. This is exactly what we'll be building. You can just go on to LeetCode and can grab any problem statement, paste up your problem statement, just click on send me. It will take some time and it is going to generate you a solution in JavaScript. And that's exactly what the ChatGPT is capable of. And that is where absolutely the fun lies. So we're going to be working on this part. Absolutely love that how this whole thing actually works. And why is it customized? No, I don't want that. So, this is bad. Okay, just give me a second. I'll just remove this. Hey, all right, so this is okay. So this is what we'll be building up. And there are a couple of things that you're going to need. First of all, JavaScript basics. If you know JavaScript fetch, that's all you need. Apart from this, we won't be using any framework, any library, not even React, not even Next, nothing at all. We'll be writing just core vanilla JavaScript for this project. And eventually in the future, I'll include some of the Node.js, maybe some of the better front end in the React, better libraries, some maybe dev UI or something. But no, not right now. Just pure basic HTML and JavaScript, not even hardly any CSS or something. Yes, tiny bit CSS here, but that's just background colors and text color. That's all what we'll be doing. You'll be needing a couple of stuffs for this one. First of all, we will be needing the API keys for OpenAI. And in some cases, I've noticed that you need a paid account for this one. Not too much of the paid, like they won't be charging anything, but you need to just add your card. We are not using anything. We are still very onto the free plan. So as you can see, I just tested out few stuff and it's just costing me nothing, 0.004. I don't think so that they're going to be charging me even for that or not. They actually give you a lot of free tier as well. So you'll be completely okay with that. So all you need to do is just get your API keys, just create a new secret and that's all. And just your API key will be available to you. I won't be showing you my keys here. I will not be giving it to you, but you can just give it a try. And again, you can just learn on the go along with me. All you got to do is just create the API keys. All right. And then this is the platform playground where you can play around with different models of the ChatGPT. Like there's a chat, there's insert, a lot of them will be complete as well. So there are a lot of things like you can go with the DaVinci. There is a lot in the chat. Also, there is a ChatGPT Turbo. There are a lot of models and each models have these different parameters like what temperature you want. Temperature means how randomness or how creative you want to be, higher, more creative, less creative, all of that. So other features are there and we'll be building the basic stuff just like that. So let's get started. And just to make sure that all of you can follow along with me, I have created a simple new repo on my GitHub account, leetcode JavaScript. And all we got to do is we'll be writing entirety of our code just right here. So simply go ahead and create this one. I have already created a code space, but if yours is not, just click on plus and you can also go ahead and follow along with me. This is not going to take much of the time. This is super basic and absolutely easy. And yes, our ChatGPT actually was able to generate pretty nice solutions in JavaScript. And I submitted some of them just onto a test account. And yes, this actually works nicely. As you can see, beats 54. That's great. I can resubmit it and obviously it will increase. Depends on the load of the server, but that's all. Okay, so we're going to be going ahead and say index.html. There we go. And let's go ahead and bump up the font a little bit. Probably 24 is good enough. And there we go. First and foremost, just a basic HTML. So this is what we have as a basic, and we'll be doing some classic stuff like writing our entire script here. So let's go ahead and say that, hey, I want to write scripts just right here. The couple of things that you're going to need is, first of all, API URL. That's what we are going to need. The API that we'll be hitting is actually here, https api.openai.com/v1. And then what we'll be hitting is chat and completions. So this is our URL. Maybe you are working with something different or something else, you can go ahead and use this one. This is what we'll be using. Now, we will be also needing our API key. And I won't be showing you the key as of now. Before actually running the project, I'll just inject the key for a minute. And then once I'll be pushing the code onto GitHub, I'll actually remove the key. So this is exactly the place where you have to actually write this whole key and all this stuff. So this is really basic. And now what we want to do is write some styling, because the card that we are generating, which is somewhere here, this is what we need to generate, and we'll be providing some styling for that card. Not too much, but really, really basic. So let's go ahead and grab a style. The first one is going to be .card, and really basic. So card is going to have some background color. I'll be using all black. So that's what we'll be going. Color will be also using. Color will be white. So let's just go with that. Apart from this, let's grab some margin and padding as well. Nothing too much. We are not focused on that. So we'll just get a 10 pixel arbitrary margin here. Margin and padding of 10 pixels. So that at least we are able to see. Let's also give it a border of 1 pixel is good enough, solid, and we'll be giving it a white-ish, so CCC-ish, whitish, grayish border, and a border radius as well. Let's go ahead and grab that border dash radius just to make sure it looks decent. 4 pixel. Okay, and let's also customize our input. As we can see, this is what the input we have built. This is a pretty big of an input box. We'll be going with this one. Nothing much, not too much of the styling base. So we'll be saying just input. And input is going to have some margin. And let's just say you are going to have a 0 and auto. So center-ish. And let's just say margin top. Let's try 30 pixels so that there is some difference. Let's grab some height for it. And height, I have used 200 pixels while I was just running around. And width, I have used 80%. And feel free to just make it mobile optimized or something more. I'm planning to make more videos on, especially on the app side, so that how you can use ChatGPT in just the app itself. That would be fun. So we'll be working on that. And let's also display block so that it has its own space on the web page. So that's all what we'll be having. All right, so there is nothing. Let's go into the body, and we won't be doing too much. Let's grab an H1 and let's say get any leetcode solution in JavaScript. Probably that's what I'm going to get my video name, and probably something like this, ChatGPT, because that's the engine, that's the brain which is powering this entire thing. We're just learning about how we can fetch all these things. Let's have a form. The action, we don't need action for this form. Let's go there. And for, let's just say this is going to be for message. Feel free to use anything else. Come on. There we go. Now this form is for just sending the message. So let's go into, we don't need a form for into this one. Let's keep it empty form. There we go. And then let's try some labels. This one is going to be for sending the message. And we'll be saying enter your code statement. Or if you have better messages, go ahead and write that. And then we'll be using a text area. So there we go. Name, I don't think so. I'll need that. ID, definitely I'll need the ID for this one. I'm going to call this one as message, because later on I'll be targeting this message, and I'll grab it, get document by ID and all of that. Columns and all of that, you can have it by default. Let's just keep it, no worries at all. And that's pretty much it. And we'll be also having a button as well. So let's go ahead and say this is my button, and this will be saying send me. We need an on click and type is here as well. So we'll be saying type will be button, submit, both of them are fine. Because we want to run is on click. Right now we have nothing on click, but we'll be just going through that. So we'll be saying on click, there we go. We don't have any method or anything like that as of now, but we'll be going that. Let's just call this one as post data to GPT. We don't have any method right now, but we'll be having it very soon. All right, this is it. And apart from this, the final thing is going to be, the interesting one is going to be this div, which has an ID of chat area. We don't have anything, but let's just push a test into this one and we'll be seeing it. Let's right click and open it up with the live server so that we can at least see, is it looking decent? We haven't integrated any ChatGPT. This should be block, display block, and text area don't have any class. It should be having a class. So let's just go ahead and say this text area should have a class of input. Save that. And there we go. Okay, I'm happy with what this is. You can definitely make it more beautiful, but I'm not worried on that part. One thing I can do it is actually add one more thing, which is dot dark. And we'll be saying background color is going to be 414141, or a little more darker than this. Let's just go, yeah, this is fine. And let's also say the color is going to be all white. And then what we can do is we can add this into the class so that I can save some of your eyes. Dark, save that. Yep, much better, much better. But now we need to change a little bit. This card that we're about to create, this is going to look like too much of the dark, so we're going to just make it a little bit more obvious. Yeah, that's good enough. All right. So this was the fun part where we wanted to just have this whole thing. This has nothing to do with the this ChatGPT stuff and all of this. We need to create a method that says as post data, because as this button is being clicked, we need to grab some data from this. This will be a fun JavaScript project for you. So there we go. Okay, one thing that you need to know is whenever you're talking to ChatGPT, it takes its time to generate the response, and then the response will be sent back to you. So obviously this needs to be an async function. There is no need to debate about this one. Let's call this one as post data, and this post data is going to require a URL. So we will be working on through this URL. You need to pass on a URL. But since we are not actually going to call this method, we don't need to pass any parameter. We can just use this API URL whenever we are making a fetch request. If you are using something like React or something, then just create a method in such a way that it requires parameter like, hey, this is the URL you need to hit, this is the data that you have, or something like that. But we'll be just going absolutely classic this way. First and foremost, I'm going to go ahead and call document. Since this is loaded on the page, I don't need to worry. This is not a pure node environment. And I can run an element, get element by ID. And the ID that I'm looking up for is just message. And from that, I can actually grab a value. And let's store that into a variable. Let's call this one as message, just like this. All right. Now, just for the make sure that we understand that the message is getting printed, so we're going to go ahead and say message. That's all what we'll be doing. Now, what this will do, it will help us actually to understand whether we have reached to some point or not. So let's just say I go ahead and say Hitesh, and I hit send, and it actually prints Hitesh. So at least we are somewhere, not maybe everywhere, but at least we are somewhere. Now let's go ahead after this, make a fetch request. So we're going to go ahead and say, hey, fetch, and fetch is going to hit a URL. So let's give it that API URL. There we go. And it also requires some of the parameters that we need to pass on for this fetch. Otherwise, it's not going to work. First and foremost, it is going to be method, very basic, post. And then it requires some of the headers as well. There we go, headers. The first and the foremost, content dash type is going to be application JSON. No surprises there. Application JSON, and this should be all lowercase. The next, the most important one is going to be like this. So there we go. And we can say that authorization. How does the authorization work? Really simple. We need a bearer token. So we'll use backticks for this one. And we'll be saying bearer. And after that, you have to provide your API key. So space, and then just inject our API key. In this case, I'll say just API key. I haven't added my API key yet, but I'm going to do it very, very soon. So no worries on that part. Now, if you're running it on localhost, maybe there are some more stuff that you might fall into. So in that case, you might have to provide some course headers, course, no course, or something like that. So make sure if in case your application request is not going through, you are also worried about the course. I'll probably make a separate video, or just after this video, I'll give you some brief idea of that. but as of now, we don't need it, surely. But if you face any problem, just let me know. I can post a solution in the comment section or something like that. After that, we need some body. And body, we are going to actually send it via JSON.stringify. There we go. How this is going to come in handy, I'll just send an object because it's much more easier for me to send an object instead of having a long string. The first thing that you need to define is actually a model. What model do you want to use in this case? ChatGPT actually provides you a lot of model. The one that I have used is GPT-3-5.turbo. I know there is a better one available. I'll definitely make future videos about that, about the better and the advanced version of this, which probably might give us more optimized solutions and some things. For that, I need to upgrade my account. That I will surely do that by the next video, and we'll work on with that. And after that, there is a syntax change in the API. So if you look forward for the API versioning, make sure you look for the latest one. The next data in the body that you need to send is actually messages. There's an S here. I spend a good amount of time in sending it like this, but there is an S into here. So make sure you don't do the same mistake that I have been doing. And this is actually an array. You can send multiple responses, but we won't be doing that. We'll be sending just one object. Each object, you can send multiple objects just like this. Each object requires, there are multiple parameters. We are worried about just one. The first one is the role, and the role is going to be user. This always remains same. You don't need to change it at all. And the second one is the content. And content, we can definitely use a backtext. Now, since whatever the response you want to send to ChatGPT, you have to just give that. So we'll be saying something like this, write a JavaScript code for this question. And this question will be using a space after this. And then we are going to inject our variable, and remember, we are extracting everything into the message. So just a document.getElement by ID. So there we go. Our content and message is all ready, and it's all going. So this is my fetch method that will just go. And once, actually, I'll close the headers, I'll close the body so that you can see what is happening. So this is our fetch method. Once the fetch method has run, then obviously we'll send it then to catch the response. And we'll say response. And this response will be sent to the next then simply by saying response.json. So obviously the response will come up into a classic string format. We want to convert it back into JSON. And then we are going to further chain another then. Now this time the data that's coming to us is already converted into JSON. So I can send just like this data. And this time we need to do a couple of more things. So I'll use curly braces up here. I'll just first go ahead and say console log, and let's see what data is coming up. So at least this is the content that we are going to go ahead and use this. So what we're going to do is save this much, and let's go back. And just for the sake of personal satisfaction, we are going to reload the page, and we're going to say add to numbers. Let's start with the basics. Send it, and this is where you need to be patient because we haven't added any loader or something like that. It's going to take some time and giving you back a response onto this one. Yes, this can take painfully awful lot of time. Let me just wait for a couple of more seconds. And we can probably add a little bit more console so that we can see whether the data is actually coming up or not. All right, seems like no data is coming in. Interesting. Let's just check our on click as well. Sometimes what happened is I was just waiting here for less time and the data response came up after some time. All right, so console log, let's see if this is all good. On click, post data, send me. And did we call it as post data? Yep, let me just copy this and no response here. Let me just quickly check this, what is happening, post data, and looks okay. First, let me copy and paste this, copy this. And we'll paste it here. This is the one that we want to execute, and async function post data. And what we're going to do is actually, just looked into this one, and we are actually into this ensure plea-write response data are valid. This is another classic case where we actually hit the course error. So if I go ahead and say add to numbers, and we just hit the send button, Notice here it says ensure pre-flight response, and this is a classic error of the course. So probably instead of telling it to you later on, we need to actually work on with this header part just right here. So what you have to do here is actually you have to make sure you mention that the mode is no course. Mode, and you can just go with the no course. So it will not give you any of the errors or something like this. By the way, you can actually come here and can add more properties in case you are aware of this. The one is access, there is a C missing, access, access control allow origin. So we'll just write that control allow, come on, allow dash origin. And you can mention the URL of your application from where it is making the response. This star is a bad idea, but I'll still go with this one. So this one is actually a bad idea. So save this and let's see now if we are able to make a response. So let's just see add to numbers and send this. And this time at least the course header error is not coming in. We need to definitely start a response or something like that. And let's see what more mistakes we are making, or can we make a kind of a response back to. All right, so looks like there is no data that is coming up, or at least we can add one more console log so that we can see when the data is coming up. So console log is here, and one log we can actually put up here, just says done. Okay, so response JSON body, at least our message is coming up. So let's just say add 3 numbers and send it. Add 3 numbers is coming up, but the done is not coming up. So that means probably I need to wait a little bit more because this portion of my code is not running. And this is where I spend a lot of time that, hey, why my application is not running? Turns out I needed to wait just tiny bit more. Let me check if there is a wait issue or there's something more, because this is also my first time interaction with this API. Let's see what more we have to do and how more we have to actually debug. All right, so after adding my API key and fixing up my URL, there was a small typo there as well. I realized that now we can make a chat sentence to this one. Obviously, there is a small mistake in the .turbo, so it's not actually the model I'm looking forward is wrong. This is the -turbo, so I can just save it and hit another request, something like add 2 numbers, and let's just send this one. So this obviously takes a little bit of the time. And you need to be patient up here, and this surely is going to give you a response back. There we go. Told you, it takes an awful lot of time. There needs some indication where probably we can have some spinner or something like this. I have spent a lot of time that, hey, why my response is not coming? Why I'm getting null in the body? So just like that. So we can see that if we open up this big gigantic object, and by the way, in case you noticed, I just removed this, but by the way, you can actually, this was working without this also. I was just testing out whether it was working or not. I can just save this and can hit it again, add 2 numbers. And again, painful, awful lot of time. Yes, it takes a lot of that. But now you know one more thing, that in case you are hitting some course error or something like this here, then obviously you know the solution of it. You can simply go ahead and make the mode as no course, or you can just allow the access allow origin for all the domains. Not a good idea. You should be only allowing the access from the domains where this is. And this can be actually controlled way more better in case we are onto a server side or something like that. And notice here, when we simply say this no allows and all of that, this actually doesn't give us anything back. So they actually have handled and take care of this situation on the backend, so we don't have to do this. So there's no need of this code, but this is just for a general purpose information. All right, so one more time, add 2 numbers just like this and send this. And yes, painful lot of time, painful lot of time. All right, come on, give me something back. There we go. So this is an object that we have, and if we open this object, inside this we have a key known as choices. This is actually an array, and inside this first object of the array we have this one, and further inside this we have this message, and here we have this content key. So there's a lot that we have to simply go ahead and grab this, and this actually comes up into the string format. So yeah, there is a lot we have to take care. But at least we are happy that we are able to grab this entire data, and now based on this data we can actually do extract the response text. So we're going to go ahead and say give me a response text. And now, okay, so we have this data. Inside that we have a key known as choices, and then we can have the first object of that array. Then we have dot messages, not messages. And I guess that was message. It just refreshed itself too many times. Okay, message. And then further we have this content. And then we'll just trim it to make sure that we are only grabbing the final response, not anything else. Okay, after this, we can actually go ahead and print out this response text as well. But when I was trying the application, building it before recording it, it worked out nicely for me. Let's go ahead and create a card now. So we're going to go ahead and say, hey, document, can you please create an element for us? So dot create element. And what we want in this case is actually a pre, because we want that entire JavaScript code that is giving to us, it actually don't lose its formatting and all of that. So we'll just use a pre for that. Let's go ahead and hold it into a value. So we're going to call this one as card. There we go. Now let's inject this card. So we're going to go ahead and say that, hey, card dot its inner HTML will be getting its data from response text. All right. And then let's append it into one of the element. So this is the chat area that we have, its class, and we are going to append this. And probably it would be good if we just convert this into an ID, so we can use get element by ID instead of the class. We are not styling it like that. So yeah, ID is fine, but you can actually use another method. Let me know what method you will be using in case I wouldn't have changed it and I would have used a class there. So you tell me that. All right, so we'll be saying, hey, document, I want to grab an element by ID. So get element by ID. And this one is chat dash area, and probably need to wrap it up. And inside this, we are going to append a child. So let's go ahead and say append child. What child do we want to append? This card that I just created above. All right. So now this is going to be tiny bit better from compared to what we had in the previous one. So let's just go ahead and check it out whether it is better or not. Or we need to actually debug this. Add to numbers. Very basic, but let's see. Add to numbers. Painful, awful lot of time that it takes. When we'll be building the same project in React and our own backend and stuff so that we can hide the keys and everything properly, I'll probably add a really simple loader at that time so that by the time this response is coming back, we can actually wait for a couple of seconds. And notice here, this is what we got. So in this one, it says, hey, int numbers and all of that. Also, it gives you some of the text which helps you to understand that what is happening here. So this is all what we got. So in the case where I actually showed you, this is one of the leetcode example we can have, and it doesn't really matter what you fetch to it. This is pretty powerful, ChatGPT, and you can now just send the text. And again, it takes a lot of time. By the way, this is your simple assignment to make this page a tiny bit more beautiful. And once this is more beautiful, try to add a loader that, hey, send me is now busy. It is going to get the response and everything back. So that is all what we'll be doing in this video. Let's go ahead and catch up in the next video where we are going to learn how we can make this more beautiful and more advanced. Let's catch up in the next video.